19th, 2016, did Mr. Adelson, tell you about the bump?
No.
All right. So at some point, did the relationship change around this time frame, April of 2016?
I can't say exactly like when it changed because we've had a lot of ups and downs, but I mean, it did change. So I don't know when exactly it was.
Okay. I want to draw your attention specifically to the time frame between April and May of 2016. Are you able to tell the jury about some changes you observed in Mr. Adelson's behavior during that time frame?
I don't know, like, if it was in that time frame exactly.
Okay. Do you recall giving a law enforcement interview in this case?
I do.
Okay. And that was done on July 24th of 2018?
Right.
Would your memory have been better back then on these issues as far as the dates that things happened?
Does it say what date? Like, they didn't ask me specifically how he was acting when. So I don't know exactly what they meant, like how he was acting, what time.
Okay. So you didn't tell them that he began to freak out around that time and act sneaky and go places without telling you where?
I said that. I just don't know at that specific time frame if that was referring to that. Like
Okay.
right now, I really have no idea right now.
Okay. At some point, did a reporter approach you in Mr. Adelson's driveway?
They did.
All right. And was that the first that you learned about this murder?
Yes.
So Mr. Adelson had never even told you during your serious relationship with him that his brother-in-law had been murdered?
He mentioned that he'd been murdered, but there were no details. It was just, he said, we don't know who did it and this would happen. So.
Okay. So do you know when this reporter approached you?
Like what time or when?
Was it approximately around June 17th of 2016? Does that sound right?
It was right after, like, I think a political holiday because I had a Band-Aid on my arm from a burn that we went to at a barbecue, and it was embarrassing that they took a photo of me with it. So I remember that I still had that Band-Aid on my arm. So it might have been around May or something.
All right.
Maybe Memorial Day.
Are we sure it was in 2016?
Well, there's a picture like the reporter has on the internet. So whenever that article came out, it would be then.
I'll first and show you an article and ask if this is the one you're referencing.
Yes. So there's a Band-Aid on my arm, as you can see.
All right. And what is the date of that article?
That says June 17th. So when is Memorial Day, May?
Yes. What is the year on the article?
2016.
Okay. So can we agree it was approximately in June of 2016 that you got approached?
I believe it was May, but I think they published the article in June. But yes, around June, May, June.
I thought the reporter had the article with them when they approached you. Is that not the case?
No, I mean the photo. Like he made that article and posted it, like
from the interaction.
Story. Yeah, from I guess our candid shot or whatever.
All right. So maybe you were approached in May and then the article came out in June.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And that was when that reporter approached you, that was when you found out that there was this whole backstory to this murder that may involve Charlie Adelson.
I actually didn't find out at that moment. They like ran up to me asking if I'm Catherine, and I had no idea who that was. So I didn't even know who they were.
How come you didn't know who Catherine Magdanoa was?
Not at all, no.
All right. So is that the first? Did you eventually find out who she was after you learned that name from the reporter?
Yes, eventually.
Who was she?
She was Charlie's ex-girlfriend, and she also worked for another friend of mine at the front desk,
And who's that?
Jerry Obed.
All right. And what was she working for Jerry Obed at the time that you learned about her, I guess? Learned of her existence?
No, so I guess I met her in the front of Jerry's place once briefly, and then when I heard of her, my mind went back to that day, but I
Okay.
had no idea like her name or anything back then.
All right. So you were confused in May of 2016 for her by a reporter. Yes. And then you learned, oh, she was an ex-girlfriend of Charlie Adelson, right?
Eventually, yeah.
Okay. And then subsequent to that, you realized, oh, that's the girl that used to work for Jerry Obed.
Yes.
Okay. I'm with you. All right. Once you found out about this sort of backstory to this homicide and investigation, did the defendant, Mr. Adelson, tell you anything about how to handle the police if you were to be approached by the police?
He said if anyone came knocking on the door asking questions, I don't know anything. And at that time, I really didn't know anything still. So
he told you not to talk to the police.
Right, because I think he had to go away that weekend or week, and I was at the house by myself. So,
And had he been acting strangely for weeks before that article was published? And again, that article was published June 17th, 2016.
I believe so.
All right, tell us what acting strangely means.
I think I said it in my interview that he would kind of run off to places without really giving me an explanation. We kind of had a routine going. We would work, go to the gym, and then every night usually see each other at a certain time. But it was getting to the point where like he was running late or things were happening, and I didn't really know the reason. And also, I think I just felt like something was different in our relationship.
And did you notice that he had begun communicating with Catherine Magbanua around that time?
The time, which
The
time
2
was it?
weeks prior to the publication of that article, which was published on June 17th, 2016.
2 weeks before that. I can't remember exactly when I found out about Catherine Magbanua. Like I know it was after May. So if it was in that 2 week period before the article came out, then
Did you say in your interview with law enforcement that in that time frame you saw him going back and forth with Katie on the calls, and I said, oh, why do you guys talk so much? And also you were commenting about the calls being at odd hours and how he's not normally up that early, and that's when you saw the call activity on his phone. Do you remember telling law enforcement that?
I remember saying I saw her name come up or something at some point in time. Again, I don't know if that is the same time around that time. And also the odd hours thing, I was referring to another girl, I think, that lives in Philippines.
Okay. I'm going to draw your attention to page 72.
I don't have a binder.
I'm going to bring you one. Page 72, lines 7 through 22 on your interview. This is a mini, so if you need to be bigger, I can work on that. But this is 72 here. Okay. If you'll read to yourself, lines 7 through 22.
Okay, so
So let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Are you still maintaining you're referencing another woman in that comment, or were you talking about Catherine McBanois?
So in that comment, I actually was referring to when I found out the phone records of Catherine and Charlie, like speaking in the morning when they showed how often they would speak on the phone.
All right, thank you.
So,
Did
I was
Mr.
referring to
Adelson
that.
ever express any interest in or curiosity to you about who had killed his brother-in-law?
He just said he didn't know who did it, and it was just like an unsolved blank mystery.
I'm going to ask you to look at page 34 of that same mini transcript in front of you. And if you'll review lines 10 through 15. And just let me know when you're done.
10 through 15, was
Yes,
it?
ma'am.
So yes, I see it.
And didn't you tell law enforcement back when this interview was conducted, quote, if it wasn't him, he never said, oh, I wonder who killed Dan. Or like if it was just him saying, just like fearing, like he used to have like clothes by his bed in case they came to get him and stuff, like in the middle of the night. He was just very scared that they would come and take him. Is that what you said?
So I was saying,
Ma'am, is that what you said?
well, no, I didn't say that exactly.
Okay.
I said
Did
he never said he wondered who
you've
killed
answered the
Dan,
question.
Don't speak over each other. Please wait for her to ask you a question, then answer it.
So the transcript is incorrect.
Judge, improper question. Objection.
Overruled.
Is the transcript incorrect?
as
That's a yes
opposed
or
to
no.
your question, or you mean in general?
The question I asked you. I
It
just
doesn't
read from
match
it.
up to your question, no.
Judge, may we go sidebar?
I'm going to request that we not go to sidebar. I have another question to ask the witness.
Very well.
Did Mr. Adelson ever express any sympathy regarding the death of Dan Markel in your presence?
Yes.
I'm going to turn your attention to page 84 of the transcript, lines 23 and 24. Page 84, lines 23 and 24. I'm sorry.
You mean section 84? Or?
No, ma'am. It's page 84. I think I've got the lines wrong. Let me just take a look. Yes, okay. I was correct. 23 and 24, but you might need to back up a little for context. Didn't you tell law enforcement? That's what was weird to me. I'm always like, well, if you didn't do it, then who do you think did it or something? And he wouldn't ever like show any sympathy or anything.
I don't even see page 84.
All right, thank you. What about, let's go back to Catherine McBanois. Did you ever actually meet her or just knew that she worked at Obed's office?
She greeted me when I walked in the door there. So I met her as like somebody walking in really quick.
Okay, but never hung out with her socially or?
No, I don't even think I spoke to her.
Okay. Was Catherine McBanois, if you know, the girlfriend that was right before you with Charlie?
I'm sorry, what?
Was she the girlfriend that preceded you or was right before you?
No, I didn't even know about her. There was another girl before me.
Who was the girl that was right before you?
That I know of, it was Whitney Kick.
How long did he date Whitney Kick?
So initially when I met Charlie in February, I don't know if it was February around then, he was with Whitney at that time. So I think he broke up with her a little before we got together. So
Was there anybody else between Catherine Magbanois and you other than Whitney Kick, to your knowledge?
there was
Okay, who was that?
someone named Jessica.
Okay. Did you ever know of Catherine Magbanois to be employed working for Charlie Adelson?
No.
During the time frame of the bump, so the bump in April, but prior to Ms. Magbanois' arrest in October, was the defendant picking up communication with Catherine Magbanois? Did you notice that he was communicating with her more?
I don't know if it was that time frame, like I said.
During this time frame that I'm talking about, did the defendant express concerns to you that his phone was being tapped?
I mean, it was probably during that time frame, but he did say that at some point. So.
Were you still dating the defendant at the time that Catherine Magbanois was arrested on October 1st of 2016?
Yes.
What was the defendant's behavior like after her arrest?
I mean, I think around that time, the media got a hold of the story, so there was.
That's not my question. What was the defendant's behavior like after Catherine Magbanois' arrest?
Well, I guess his behavior was just someone that's being convicted of murder, or not convicted, accused of murder. I'm sorry.
All right. Was he, quote, very scary to be around?
I mean, I might have said that.
You might have said that, or you did say that.
I think I did say that because we had a fight, so I was afraid one time.
Was he, quote, just like angry and different?
I guess he was, yeah.
Was he violent, agitated, and short-fused during that time frame?
I believe so.
Did he have trouble sleeping or being alone? Didn't want to be home? Do you recall saying that?
Yes.
When the case came up, did everything just tick him off?
Yes.
Did he start getting really red and screaming and take random walks, like just acting like a crazy person?
Yes. Yes.
Did he get a second phone around this time frame and possibly even a third phone?
I saw one other phone. I don't know about a third. So.
Did he start communicating with you via the WhatsApp application?
He did. He started that because he was also out of the country once, so we started using it then.
Did he sleep with a gun at night? In that time frame specifically?
So when you say sleep, do you mean like physically in the bed or?
You tell me. Where was the gun?
He had guns because he had his carry license. So he had a few at different places. So in his bedroom.
But specifically in this time frame, did he change his habits in reference to the gun?
No,
so
not that I know of.
Okay, so he didn't begin sleeping with a gun under his pillow or near his bed where he hadn't before?
Not sleeping with it. Like it was in the room though, so I don't know.
All right. Was he super stressed and very affected by the arrest of Catherine Magbanois?
Yes.
But not super stressed and very affected from what you observed by the death of Daniel Markel, was he?
I have no idea about that.
Well, you said he wasn't.
Where is that?
In the interview that we just reviewed.
I mean,
where
what
you
line
said,
is it?
84, lines 23 and 24, which we've already done. I think you couldn't find page 84.
No, but I think I know what you're talking about. I think I was speculating on it. He didn't say.
He wouldn't show like any sympathy or anything, right?
I mean, that was my opinion, but I have no idea if he did or not.
Well, the question was, did he express it to you?
I think his actions did, but he didn't physically, like, verbally say it.
His actions expressed grief over the death of Dan Markel? What were those actions?
Well, I mean, just somebody concerned, upset over this tragedy and everything.
But that's the opposite of what you told law enforcement in your law enforcement interview.
Well, that
isn't
was
it?
like a long time ago. That
So
was
has your
probably
memory
7 years ago.
Has your memory improved since 2018?
Regarding what?
This incident and Charles Adelson's lack of remorse over the death of his brother-in-law.
So after that, after whatever I said, obviously it's been a lot of years. So he probably expressed sympathy after I said that.
All right. What about his mother, Donna Adelson? Did you know her?
I did.
How was she holding it together during this time frame where the bump was occurring, after the bump occurred?
I think she was also stressed out.
Did you observe her to be crying or appear as if she had been crying?
I've seen her like that before, yes.
Did she tell you she was on painkillers for stress?
She may have, I'm not sure.
Did you notice that Donna Adelson was really involved with her grandchildren?
I believe she was.
And was that Wendy's kids
Yes.
specifically? Did Donna Adelson ever express any concerns to you about who killed Dan Markel?
No.
Did you say to law enforcement that the Adelsons weren't ever curious, like who really killed him? They weren't upset about it, it seemed like. Did you say that?
I might have said it.
Page 50, lines 19 through 23.
Okay, so what were you asking? I'm sorry.
Did you say, quote, like they weren't ever curious, like who really killed him? They weren't upset about it, it seemed like.
I did, and I was speculating again, so.
Did the defendant ever say anything about something he did coming back to him?
Where is that?
Why don't you answer the question first?
Wait, you said something coming back to him? What do you mean?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, did the defendant ever tell you about something bad he did coming back to him?
I think he was referring to a horoscope.
Yes, tell us about that, please.
From what I recall, I think we were just reading horoscopes and I don't even remember at this point. I'd have to look it up again, but.
Page 109.
Okay.
Did you review this transcript this morning before your testimony today?
I reviewed it beforehand in the email that you sent. So which line was it?
Page 80, I'm sorry. This is page 109, line 9 through page 110, line 1. And the question is, did you say that the horoscope was something about something you did in the past will come back and take a big toll on your life? And he said, quote, "Isn't that so true? Wow, that's on point," or something.
Yes.
Was this before or after the arrest of Catherine Magbanua?
I really don't remember that part.
Did you ever ask him about what happened to Dan Markel?
I did, yes.
And what did he tell you?
Well, he told me he was shot and they didn't know who did it.
Okay. What about Wendy Adelson? Were you ever around her during the time that you were dating her brother?
Yes.
Did she ever express any concern to you about the murder of her child's father?
I don't really remember too much of it.
Did the topic come up at all regarding
I
the
think
death?
a topic about her being a single mother came up, and that's all I remember.
Did she make a comment to you that things were still hard for her even though Dan was gone?
Did she make a comment, you're asking?
Yes.
I think it was something along the lines of that, if I remember.
And did at some point Charlie Adelson tell you that he and Wendy were actually fighting about this case?
He mentioned that at some point in time.
And was Wendy not speaking to the defendant for some period of time because of something to do with this case?
I don't know like how long the time was, but I believe, yes, she wasn't speaking to him at one point.
And did you know what the thing having to do with this case was that caused them to not be speaking?
I have no idea.
During the time that you were dating Charlie Adelson, I think you said you would stay over there at the house in Whale Harbor. Was that every night or most every night?
Every night. Maybe one night, like we missed, like, or if he was out of town, then
During the time that you were over there, did you have an opportunity to observe large amounts of cash in his residence?
I've seen cash there. So
All right. And are you aware of a large safe that's there in the residence?
there is a safe.
Okay. And during the time that you were dating him, did he have money in that safe, cash?
I believe so.
All right. And did he have thousands and thousands of dollars, stacks of hundreds? Did you say that?
I believe at one point in time.
Did you say, quote, hundreds are like dollars to him?
I did say that.
Did you say that, quote, all of his money is like stapled together, the hundreds in bundles?
I believe I did say that.
Do you need to review the statement?
No, I mentioned like the staples. I just don't remember the bundle part. Are those my exact words or?
Page 42, lines 22, I'm sorry, 42, lines 20 through 22.
Okay, I see it.
And did you say all of his money is like stapled? All of his money is like stapled together, the hundreds in bundles.
Yes.
After your breakup with Mr. Adelson, has he made any large purchases on your behalf?
I don't know.
You don't know?
After our breakup?
Yes, like has he bought you a big ticket item? A car, a condo?
No.
Has anybody tried to tell you what to say here today?
No.
Has
Just
anybody
myself.
has anybody told you, I don't know, to forget what you said in that interview? Did anybody instruct you to do that? Is my question.
No.
One moment, please, Your Honor.
Take your time.
Is there any water?
You know now. You'll be off the witness stand soon.
Okay, thanks.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
All right, well, let's start right there. Good afternoon. My name is Dan Rashbaum.
Hi, good afternoon.
Have we ever met before?
No,
Have you ever seen me before in your life?
I saw you on the internet, but no, never in person in my
Fair
life.
enough. Have I ever talked to you on the phone?
No, I got a subpoena from you the other day to attend trial here, but I've never physically heard from you.
Has anyone from my office, my colleague Kate Myers, anyone from my team at all ever reached out to you about anything?
No.
Okay.
I was actually surprised you didn't get a depo or anything from me. So
I never deposed you, right?
no, I haven't heard from you or Charlie or anyone.
Okay. So let's just make that clear. Let's clear up a couple other things. Professor Markel was murdered in 2014.
Right.
Did you know Charlie Adelson in 2014?
No.
You didn't start dating him until, I think you said, give or take, October of 2015, right?
That's right.
So any type of feelings he had about the murder of Professor Markel in 2014, you wouldn't know anything about that, right?
Right.
Okay. We're going to do a little bit more of this in a little bit, but that time period that Miss Kappelman was asking you that you were confused about where Charlie was acting odd.
Right.
You know what the bump is, right?
The Donna thing, the
Yeah,
extortion.
Where law enforcement approached Donna Adelson on the street.
Yes.
You probably watched it on TV,
Yes, everywhere.
right? And you know there was a wire involved in that, correct?
I do.
And that's the point in time that Charlie Adelson was acting kind of weird, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Let's go back a little bit. When you dated Charlie, did you go out a lot when you were dating?
It was like 50-50, but yes, in the beginning we went out a lot every weekend. If we could do nights sometimes too.
Did he work a lot?
A lot.
He started early in the morning and came home late at night a lot of days?
Almost pretty much every day, but like Sunday and Saturday sometime. Saturday, Sunday.
And he worked most of the time 6 days a week.
Yes.
And his work would take him all over the southern part of the state, right?
Right.
He'd be in the car a lot, right?
Yes.
When he dated you and he was in the car, did he bother you a lot by calling you all the time while he was driving?
He knew I was at work and we would see each other before leaving the house. And then when we got back, so he didn't have a need to really call me on his way to work. He would text me and we would text sometimes throughout the day if I had a chance.
Now, you said Charlie keeps a lot of cash at his house, right?
I probably said that, yes.
Okay. And he staples his cash, correct?
That's what I saw, yes.
Okay. And again, you saw this cash at his house in 2016, right? When you dated him, well after the murder.
Oh, yeah, well, way after that, yeah.
Now, there was this discussion about a gun and sleeping with it. he keeps a gun in his nightstand next to his bed, right?
Right.
Are you aware that that habit started on July 18, 2014?
I have no idea.
But ever since you knew him, he kept a gun on his nightstand, right?
Not on it.
In the drawer in his nightstand.
I
Apologies.
think it was in his safe and in the car. But
By the way, his house has a lot of camera equipment, right?
yeah.
Like a lot of camera equipment, right?
Yes.
Are you aware that that camera equipment was installed within 2 weeks of Professor Markel's murder? Are you aware of that?
No.
But it was there when you were there, correct?
Right.
How about the barbed wire behind his house? His barbed wire, right?
Yes.
Are you aware that that was installed after Professor Markel's murder?
No.
Did you ever go to the Adelson Institute?
I did.
Did you see all the camera equipment there?
I didn't notice.
Now, I think you talked about this, that there were a lot of, that media was starting to come around, right?
Yes.
And this was in 2016 after the bump and after some arrests
Right.
and after the Tallahassee Police Department released an affidavit saying that Charlie Adelson was part of the murder. Do you recall that?
Right.
And you asked him and he said he didn't do it, right?
Objection. Hearsay.
Sustained as a self-serving hearsay.
Move to strike.
Members of the jury are to disregard the last question by Mr. Rauschbaum. Please continue.
Did Ms. Kappelman just ask you whether you asked Charlie Adelson about the murder?
Not in the same context, but yes, basically.
Judge, may I go sidebar? I want to make sure I don't step on.
You may continue with your examination.
Let me ask it this way. After you asked Charlie Adelson if he knew anything or participated in the murder, did you continue to date him?
Yes.
Did you continue to stay at his house almost every day?
Yes. We worked every day until we broke up.
You didn't have any worry about your safety, right?
No.
By the way, during this time period,
Oh, can I interrupt you? Sorry. I did have a worry about,
Hold
oh,
on. They're going to need to ask you the question. You just don't get to start offering statements unless it's clarifying the last question.
it was clarifying it.
Then you may clarify your answer as to the last question.
So, I'm sorry, the last question one more time, because now I forgot it.
Please ask again.
I have forgotten it as well.
Did you continue to stay at his house and spend time with him? I believe that was the question.
Now I remember. Okay, you asked if I felt safe. So at one point in time, he was getting death threats and all this stuff. So at that time when we were together, I kind of felt unsafe with people recognizing us or something like that.
Did you ever feel unsafe? Do you ever think that Charlie Adelson was going to hurt you?
No,
Now, during the time after these media reports, etc., did Charlie take trips overseas?
yes,
Did he always come back?
yes,
Did he once tell you he wasn't
Objection.
Withdraw.
Hearsay.
withdraw?
Go ahead, question.
Ms. Kappelman asked you about how he was angry, how he was upset. Do you recall those questions?
I do.
At that time, there were Dateline specials being aired, right?
Yes, more than Dateline, but
And what was his reaction to these media reports?
I think he was just flustered and stressed out and a ton of different emotions.
Was he angry?
Yes.
Now, you were interviewed by law enforcement in 2018. I think that's what we established finally today, right?
Yes.
And your testimony then was essentially the same as it was today, correct?
My testimony, from being, yes.
They asked you pretty much the same questions.
Yes. We just went over my transcript basically. So
That was in 2018. There's nothing today that they asked you different, is new from 2018, right?
no, my memory just didn't remember the dates, but no.
But their questions were the same. There's no new topic.
Right.
When was Charlie Adelson arrested?
I believe it was April 2022.
So 4 years after they asked you those very same questions, correct?
Correct.
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
One moment, Your Honor. Just double check. Has Charlie ever told you to lie?
Has he ever told me a lie?
Yeah.
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
He has, yes.
He's told you to lie?
Oh, I thought you said a lie. I'm
Has
sorry.
Charlie ever told you to lie?
No, never.
No further questions.
Redirect the attention.
If he has told you a lie, he's never told you a lie.
Right.
So the defense was trying to get you to move the time period of when Charlie was acting crazy and angry to when the news articles were being published.
Right.
But in your law enforcement interview, you articulated that he had been acting weird for weeks prior to that first news article. Isn't that right? And you didn't
That's
know
what
why.
I remember. Yes.
Ma'am? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And did they raised, oh, didn't he tell you? He didn't have anything to do with it. Did he tell you that he had purchased a vehicle for Ms. McBano or given her a vehicle?
He didn't tell me, but I saw that in the 2020 thing and asked him about it.
Okay, and he admitted he gave her a vehicle.
He said his father, it was an old car that his father,
Did he give her a vehicle?
I don't know.
Did he mention giving her or contributing to a breast augmentation for Catherine McBanoa?
He said he never contributed to that.
If you'll look at tab 1 of the binder in front of you, the trial on May 23rd, 2022 should be your first tab. And if you'll look first on page 1197, lines 19 through 24. Are you with me?
Yes. Can you
I
say
haven't
the
asked the
lines
question.
again? What were the
Oh,
lines?
yes, ma'am. It's 1197 is the page and the lines are 19 through 24.
Right.
Did you previously testify? Question, did he put you on the payroll at the Adelson Institute after you broke up? No. Do you recall him telling you that he gave Catherine McBanoa a car? Answer, I do. Page 1216.
That's what he said, yes, at the time.
And would you turn to 1216 now?
I'm there, yes.
Oh, okay. And in that testimony, did you also testify? Question, so now your testimony is that he told you he paid for half of her breast augmentation.
He said that at one point, but I think it was a joke.
No further questions.
You may step down. Will the witness be recalled as a party?
No, sir.
Judge, we do have her on the subpoena, so there's a possibility.
You may step down.
Thank you.
Please call your next witness. Sir.
Yeah.
State calls Wendy Adelson.
Adelson, you remain under oath. You may be seated.
Ms. Adelson, we've got 2 points we need clarification on from you. When we talked about your relationship with Jeffrey Lacasse, we talked about a occasion on July 13th, 2014, It would have been the Sunday before the murder. And on that occasion, did you, at your residence that evening, in the context of discussing the relocation issue with involving you and your children moving to South Florida, did you say that Charlie, your brother, this defendant, had explored all options to resolve the problem, including hiring a hitman, and it would cost either $15,000 or $50,000?
No,
And did you have a conversation with Jeffrey Lacasse at your residence that night where you said you wanted to share something in confidence with him?
no,
Did you ever say that your brother had seriously hired a hitman where you weren't repeating the joke? You
No.
were serious. All right. And second point for clarification involves that dinner where you got sick at the dinner table. You recall which evening I'm speaking of?
I do.
This would have been about 2 weeks to a month after the homicide, I believe. Okay. And on that occasion, did you ever tell Jeffrey Lacasse that Charlie had referred to the dinner as a celebration dinner?
No,
Did you ever tell Jeffrey Lacasse that it was a celebration dinner?
no.
No further questions.
Cross-examine.
Very briefly. Good afternoon. During your interrogation, do you recall Jeffrey Lacasse's name coming up?
Yes,
And do you recall that it was Jane McPherson who brought up his name, not you?
yes, correct.
And do you recall, as a result of his name being brought up, he was considered a suspect?
Yes,
And do you recall that Detective Isom asked you a lot of questions about him?
yes,
And he asked you about his car.
yes,
And he asked you about his travel schedule.
yes,
And he asked you for his information so that he could speak with him, correct?
correct.
But you didn't bring up his name, right?
No,
You didn't try to frame Jeffrey Lacasse for any murder, right?
absolutely not.
In fact, Jane McPherson was the one who brought up his name, correct?
She was.
I have no further question.
Please approach.
But Jeffrey Lacasse's name did come up while you were in the interview room being interviewed in reference to the shooting, right?
Jane McPherson brought him up
She was in the room with you during the interview.
for some of it, not for the whole time.
Okay, but during the part where Jeffrey Lacasse's name came up, she was in the interview room with you.
Yes, she brought him up.
And this is the same interview that we've referenced previously where you were taken from the restaurant to be told about what happened with Dan.
Yes,
Nothing further.
You may step down now. Will Ms. Adelson be recalled by either the state or the defense again?
Certainly hope not, Your Honor.
You remain under subpoena. Please call your next witness.
Jeffrey Lacasse.
Mr. Lacoste, you remain under oath. You may be seated.
All right, Mr. Lacasse, I want to take you back to July 13th, 2014. This is going to be the Sunday before the homicide that we're here about. Did you see Wendy Adelson that evening at her residence here in Tallahassee?
Yes, after we returned from dinner and a movie, we went back to her residence. Yes, ma'am.
All right, and at some point that evening, did the issue of the relocation battle that was going on back in the summer of 2013 come up?
It did.
And is that the issue we've already touched on, which has to do with her wanting to move to South Florida with the children and filing a petition to do so in the courts?
That's right. And by extension, the issue of being stuck in Tallahassee.
Okay. And while discussing that issue, did Ms. Adelson make some statements to you about her brother Charlie?
She did.
And what were those statements?
She asked to speak to me confidentially in a very serious tone of voice, told me that Charlie had investigated all possible options to take care of the problem of Danny Markel, including hiring a hitman, which would cost about $15,000. And I later revised that and thought maybe it was $50,000, but the dollar amount was the only thing in question. She definitely said that Charles Adelson had looked into hiring a hitman to kill Danny Markel.
And when did she say Mr. Adelson had looked into hiring a hitman?
When the relocation was denied the previous summer.
Okay. All right. And the dollar amount, so she either said 15 or 50, you're not sure which?
That's correct.
Okay. And when she said this, what was her demeanor like?
She's very serious.
All right. So definitely not the to be confused with the TV joke.
No, I'd heard that joke repeatedly. I knew that joke. This was something very different. This was chilling, a little scary, made my stomach flip. I found it disturbing. The joke was said in a lighthearted manner, and this was not said in that way. This was serious and said confidentially.
All right. Thank you. And I want to, well, okay, I think we should go from there to the next day, which is going to be July 14th, 2014, the Monday before the murder.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see Wendy Adelson on that day?
Yeah, I can't remember if I contacted her, if she contacted me, but she was excited to see me. And I wasn't so sure about that because the night before we'd had an awkward conversation at the conclusion of that night. And I had told her that she didn't want to do this anymore, that she could just send me a text and I wouldn't, take any offense. We would just, break up. So I didn't get that text. Instead, I talked to Wendy Adelson and she was excited to see me.
All right. So what did you do?
Well, then she needed to call me back and it went from her enthusiasm about seeing me to let's just meet at yoga tonight, go in separate cars. So there was a real shift in about 30 minutes.
Did you go to yoga?
We did. We went to yoga.
All right. And after yoga, was there a discussion about your relationship and the status of your relationship?
Yeah, a very brief one. I mean, yoga is not a great place to talk, obviously. So while we were sitting there, she seemed very cold. And I kind of got the feeling that it was over, that this was it. So as we walked to the car, I tried to talk to her about the relationship. And that didn't go well. And so I just kind of put up my hands and walked away, feeling sad that this was it.
All right. And as you walked away, was that the end or was there more conversation after you began to walk away?
She called out to me and I walked back towards her. And she was deeply curious. Well, let me back up slightly. During that conversation, she didn't have any interest in spending any time with me for the rest of the week. So it kind of confirmed this is over.
Mm-hmm.
But then when she called me back, she had a series of detailed questions about what I would be doing on Friday.
And Friday is going to be July 18th, right?
Yes,
And that's the date of the homicide.
that's exactly right.
What were her inquiries of you regarding that date?
I had a trip planned to Tennessee. She was aware that I was planning to leave about 11 a.m. On Friday. I need to get to Atlanta for an early dinner, so with traffic, she knew I was departing at 11. And at the yoga studio in the parking lot, she had asked if I was still going. If I didn't go, why not? What route I would be taking. A lot of bizarre amount of interest in that trip that didn't make sense to me at the time, given that she didn't want to spend time with me.
And how does it make sense to you now?
Well, if I had left on my trip at the scheduled time that she had known about for quite a while, I would have driven pretty close to Danny Markel's house about the same time as at the murder, in a similar looking car to the suspect vehicle.
What type of vehicle did you drive?
I drove a 2004 Nissan Sentra that was silver metallic gray color.
So if you had followed your original plans, you would have been passing by the Markel residence or nearby there around the same time as the killers were fleeing.
Yeah, I would have been at Capitol Circle in Thomasville. Sure, I would have been on the same cell tower, for example. I think my life could have been pretty complicated had I taken my original plans.
All right, so you didn't, I guess, take the original plans.
No, I did not. I had made a last minute decision the night before to leave Thursday night instead. I had not informed Ms. Adelson about that because we weren't speaking. Actually, no, I don't know that anyone, for sure that anyone in Tallahassee knew I had changed my plans, just the people at the other end.
All right, so you were actually in Tennessee at the time of the homicide.
I was.
And when we've heard you were called in as a potential suspect, and apparently named by a Jane McPherson. Do you know who that is?
I do.
Okay, who is that?
That was a friend of Wendy Adelson's, and she was a doctoral student in our program. I had not much of a relationship with her, just a kind of a working relationship. We'd worked on a couple of projects together, but I didn't know her very well at all.
But someone that knew that you had been dating Wendy.
Yeah, I think she was a confidant of Wendy Adelson's. Yes, for sure.
Okay, so you get called in, and were you able to provide documentation to show that you were in Tennessee and not in Tallahassee?
Yeah, I was excluded fairly quickly because the investigators found Kmart surveillance footage of me at a Kmart in Tennessee using my credit card with my cell phone showing me there shortly after the murder. So it was impossible that I was the shooter.
All right, and then was there also some similar type coincidences around the time of the trip that the killers made in June?
Yes. On June 6th, I had a business trip to Gainesville, and I departed at 11 a.m. on a Friday, June 6th, which Ms. Adelson would have known about by March. So really, I take 2 trips out of Tallahassee in my car the whole spring and summer semester. And both times, hitmen try to kill Danny Markel.
Okay. Any further contact with Wendy after the yoga date?
We, about 10 days after the murder, she reached out to a mutual friend and we had a few phone calls.
And during one of those phone calls, did you learn about a dinner where Wendy had become ill at the table?
Yes, I did learn about that.
And what did you learn about that dinner?
That she went out to dinner with Charlie for what he called a celebration dinner. He said something to her. She spontaneously vomited on the table.
And this would have been within how much time after the homicide?
Within a few weeks.
Was it specified that the celebration was in reference to Dan Markel's death as opposed to anything else?
Wasn't specified.
But whatever it was, that's the dinner where she vomited.
That's right. That's right.
1 moment, please.
Go ahead.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Let's shift gears a teeny bit.
Okay?
When you and Miss Adelson were dating, there were occasions when she would drive, right?
Yes.
Did she have a good sense of direction?
I don't know.
You're aware that when she was married to, she lived in Professor Markel, she lived on the house on Trescott, right?
Yes.
And when you were dating Wendy, would she often use Trescott as a shortcut to get from one place to another?
She used it a few times when I was in the car, if that's what you're asking.
I
She
think-
did that on June 27th, the day we departed to Gainesville at 11 a.m. on a Friday.
I think you said in one of your interviews that she would do that at least 100 times, drive by the house.
That was a figure of speech.
Now, you mentioned, we'll start with the joke, the
Yeah.
bad joke.
Yes.
You mentioned this TV joke, how it was lighthearted, bad humor, certainly in the context of what happened, but it was a joke.
Yeah, it was dark humor, I would say, but it was clearly a joke. Yes.
And do you recall that joke being given at that Yardbird dinner?
I don't.
Could it have been given at that Yardbird dinner?
It could have, but I don't recall it. And I actually think I might remember that,
I'm sure you do.
given what happened.
I think one thing that has been established is you believe that Wendy Adelson tried to frame you for Professor Markel's murder, right?
I'm suspicious that there was an effort made in that way, yes.
And so that has affected your viewpoint, correct?
Sure.
Well, let's talk about your viewpoint. And we have to go a little bit back and repeat a couple things to put it in context. So you meet with Charlie Adelson. He tells you that he's he's friends with people in the criminal element. You say, thanks for a great meeting, correct? Send him a nice text.
The next day I sent him a text, yes.
You don't go to the police.
No, I don't go to the police.
You then hear that Charlie's made a joke many times about this TV being cheaper than hiring a hitman.
Heard the joke twice.
Okay. You don't go to the police.
No.
Then in June, at a time when Wendy Adelson is breaking up with you, she sits you down and she says, I have to confide the biggest secret in my life. That a year ago, my brother actually looked into hiring a hitman. That's your testimony here today, right?
You said in June, sir?
In June? I'm sorry, in July.
Okay.
In
Can you-
July.
Can you restate that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll do it again.
I'm sorry.
I'll try to keep it lower this time. In July of 2014,
Yes.
about a week before the murder, when you're breaking up with Wendy Adelson, or things are seriously not good, she sits you down and she says, Jeffrey, I've got to confide in you. My brother actually looked into hiring a hitman. That's your testimony here today.
No, she didn't sit me down. She said it in passing, and she had a habit of blurting out things that weren't in her own self-interest. But she did do that. She did make that statement. Yes, sir.
And it was chilling to you.
It was.
Unlike the joke, you thought it was real.
It was real. Yes.
Did you go to the police?
I did not.
And then you break up.
Kind of. She strung me along for another week, as you know. Mostly, yeah, but kind of.
Well, the murder happens and you get called in as a suspect of the murder.
Right.
And you're upset at that point.
Yes, I was upset.
And you have a first interview with the police, and then you have a second interview with the police.
Yes.
And during the second interview of the police, you talked solely about Wendy Adelson.
Yeah, I think that's right. I felt like I needed to say they needed to look at Wendy Adelson as well. That was the point of that talk. Yes, sir.
That was the point of that talk.
Yes.
And you don't mention actually Charlie Adelson at all in that second interview.
Already had done so. So yes, you're correct.
So that second interview, you talked just about Wendy Adelson. And in fact, you're so uncomfortable in the interview. You tell the police that. You say, I'm so uncomfortable, and Detective Isom asked you why. Do you recall that?
It wasn't a Detective Isom.
Okay, I'm sorry. The detective who was interviewing you asked you why.
I don't, you have to remind me on that.
Well, let me remind you what you
Yeah.
said. You said, because it's hard for me, because if she would take me back right now, I would go back to her.
Yeah, I was still under her spell to some degree. I would say I was fairly pathetic at that point. I would acknowledge that. Yeah.
So let me understand this, because I want to make sure I've got it right. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Sure.
Wendy Adelson has told you that her brother looked into hiring a hitman sometime in 2013. He gets murdered.
He does.
You go to an interview, and during that interview, you're still thinking about staying with Wendy Adelson. You don't want to talk badly about her because you still want to be with her.
You're talking about this July 23rd interview specifically?
Yes.
Yeah, it only been a week. It was still pretty fresh. I was still pretty mixed up. That's right.
Okay, well, let's see how mixed up you were after that. So then you're clearly broken up at that point. We can agree, right?
Actually, I would say yes, functionally, but I've testified before that Ms. Adelson and I had conversations in August where she behaved as if we were still together, and we had a conversation that finally ended it, initiated by me. Now, practically, we were broken up.
You never dated. You never went on a date with her again, right?
Never saw her again other than our
Okay.
courtroom, right?
Fair enough. Fair enough. Then she tells you, according to you, that my client, Charlie Adelson, says that she had a celebration dinner with Charlie, and that the celebration dinner was about the murder of Professor Markel.
I don't recall saying that last part.
But that's how you took it, right?
I worried that was the case. I told the police, and my understanding is Wendy conceded she threw up on her dinner table.
Do you know that the first time you told the police that was in March of 2015?
I do know that.
So what happened in September of 14? What happened in October of 14? What happened in November of 14? What happened in December of 14, January of 15, February of 15? You still didn't think that was important to tell the police?
I'm happy to answer that. I think you deserve an explanation on that. You may have noticed in my March 6, 2015 interview, I come in with notes, big pile of notes. Those notes are written in July of August. They're written pretty quick after the murder. I didn't come in right away, partially because I was scared of your client. I was scared of the repercussions if I went on the record further about my suspicion. So I was reluctant to come back in because I was frankly scared.
Oh, I get it. You were scared of him in August of 14, but you weren't scared of him in March of 2015.
Now I decided to man up. Decided it was a homicide and needed to man up. That's the decision I made.
Right. You weren't scared to tell him that my client had actually looked into a hitman a year earlier. That didn't scare you. You could tell him that in July.
No, I was.
Hold on, sir. Let me ask the question.
Fair enough.
In July of 2014, you told police that Charlie Adelson, you heard, actually looked at hiring a hitman. You weren't scared to tell him that.
I asked for police protection. I was scared.
You told them that in July of 2014. Isn't that correct?
Yes, in the same conversation, I said, can I get some assurances? Can I get some protection? I have something I want to tell you. I'm scared to tell you.
But you were too scared to tell him about a celebration dinner comment, and you waited almost half a year to tell him?
Well, I did wait half a year to tell them, but the notes I brought in were written right after that interview. I also wanted to get my thoughts together because I thought this day might come. And I wanted, in those first two interviews, there was a lot going on. It was pretty traumatic. So I wanted to collect my thoughts. So that's what I was doing, in addition to being pretty fried in and having to get over that idea.
Isn't it true that those comments never happened and you're upset because you believe that this family tried to frame you for murder?
Everything I'm saying is true.
I'm sure it is. May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Move to strike the I'm sure it is comment.
I'll withdraw it.
It's withdrawn. Please disregard, members of the jury.
I have no further comments for this. Or questions.
Redirect examination.
This may seem like a fine point, but I want to make sure it's crystal clear. When Mr. Rashbaum was asking you about the hot tub conversation, Mr. Rashbaum said that his client said that he was friends with people in the criminal element. Is that exactly what was said?
The word I recall is he had connections and friends on both sides of the tracks.
Okay. Connections to
Criminal.
The criminal
elements. And
element.
particularly, there was the Cuban neighborhood comment that I repeated to the TPD later.
Gotcha.
Actually, on July 21st, first interview, I mentioned that comment.
Okay. How many pages of notes do you have in reference to this case?
Like right now or over the last 9 years?
I mean, kind of over the last 9 years.
Yeah. I'm a researcher by training. I'm an analytic person by nature. So those 6 months was pretty obsessive. I was reviewing every text message, every email, writing. I condensed it down. I think if you watch the videotape, you would see me bring in 3, 4, 5 pages. But I would say I wrote probably 100 pages before I came in to see them the third time.
Going through every receipt,
Yes.
every detail,
Yes.
partially out of what? What motivation?
Well, pretty traumatic. So fear was part of it. Like if they can catch the people that did this, I'll be safe. That was a big piece of it.
Mhm.
Also, this was a brutal murder and I wanted to see justice done. And I did not want to leave something sitting on the shelf. If I was in the possession of something that could help, I wanted to help.
And isn't it true that you didn't know what was going to end up being important out of all the nuggets you dug out of the phone and everywhere
I
else?
had no idea. And I also told them repeatedly, I hope and pray this wasn't Wendy and Charlie Adelson. But just in case, here's the stuff I have.
And Mr. Rashbaum asked you about why didn't you go to the police when you learned that Mr. Adelson had in fact looked into hiring a hitman. This, just to reiterate, the statement was made the Monday before the murder, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And that's the statement where Wendy's relating it to you.
Yes.
All right, so that's going to be in 2014.
Yes.
Okay, and she's making a statement about something that occurred in what year?
2013.
All right, why didn't you go to the police with this information?
Because it was a past tense thing she was reporting. I did not sense there was a present danger. I didn't know hitmen had already visited Tallahassee. I didn't realize there was an active murder plot.
In hindsight, should you have gone to the police with this information?
Yes.
One moment, please. Nothing else, Your Honor.
So Cross, you must step down. Rockwell, you have something to
Maybe we go sidebar briefly.
approach.
Grandma! Hey, girl, hey! How are you doing? I was pretty sick this morning, but I'm okay right now. Anna left, I think. Oh, Anna's still here. Hi, Anna. So yeah, you know what, guys? I don't know what's going on. I hope I do not have COVID. Okay, that's all I gotta say. This has been strange. This has been for 2 weeks now. Anyways, I put a poll up on my community wall about the next case.
Jury room.
I got court documents for Delphi, Clancy, and the guy. Oh, I almost said my state. Scratch that. Hey girl, hey. Hey girl, hey girl, hey. Now, I want to say about this trial here, that attorney that's standing there, that short one, he's very entertaining. He is. Do you guys know about this case? Dan Markel, by any chance? Anybody? Oh, I'm going to be doing a notification.
Well, I think what may make sense first,
Oh,
with all respect, is
what happened?
maybe let them just ask him whether he has the notes first and whether they can get them rather than do an inquiry. I don't think the state has done anything wrong.
Well, I think that directly goes to factor one, whether there is a violation, but yes.
I don't think there's a violation, but I think I'm entitled to the notes if he has them, and then we can recall them.
Very well. Does your client need to use the restroom or take a break?
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll take a 10-minute break and we'll go back on at 3:40. Ms. Kappelman, how many more witnesses do you plan to call before we? Okay,
Who are the two?
3:40 to start again.
I don't know this one. Please refresh my brain. Okay. Let's go here first. I had it ready, but I X'd out like a dummy. Hold on, I'll do this. This will be easier. Hold on. Okay, he was the guy that's on trial here is Charlie, and he's here, hold on. Yeah, it's an old case. Hold on. Oh, my neck is killing me, you guys. What's new? Okay, I found the transcript of the secret recording. No, this is new. No, this is a new trial that it's finally now. He was a professor and he was gunned down in a garage by a hired hitman. His former brother-in-law, which is Charles, how do you say that? Adelson? He is arrested in connection of this. And they got him on the secret recording talking about it. And the judge let that come for evidence. Evidence. How are you today, Grandma? Gma, Gma. Oh my God. Hold on. Yeah. No, not the attorney. He's a professor. He was a professor at a college. But my heel is better. Good. What happened? I'm going to have a special guest on my channel on Sunday. I'm super excited. And I'll be making a little premiere video today. And it's going to be Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You heard it here first, Grandma. Oh my God. Ouch. Those are painful. I had them in my neck. They say it was from the car accident. So yeah, I've been so out of it, you guys. My dad calls me at 11:10, and he said to me, "You getting ready to go?" I go, "Go where?" I go, "I'm not going nowhere. I don't feel good." He goes, "We talked last night when you came to get Nala about taking me to get my hair cut." I'm like, "All I heard you say is that Nelson's taking you." He's like, "No, you even answered me and said okay." I do not recall that conversation. So I had to get my fat ass up and take them. I already fixed that big toe and have to do left soon. You have to leave soon? Is that what you're saying? So yeah, anyways. And they haven't got that guy yet. He's long gone, you guys. No, left toe. Oh! All right. So, dude, the main mass murder thing, that guy's long gone. He's long gone, or he's taken his own life. Oh, surgery? Yeah. To shave him down? Yes. Owie. Oh, no, you don't have insurance? Oh, that sucks. Why are they on break again? What is with these breaks? I don't understand. Listen to me. I don't understand what's going on. And it's Florida. It's another Florida case, you guys. Florida. I bet. Oh my God. That's crazy. Well, I hope you get better. What's going on with you guys today? Yes. And they don't play either. I would not want to commit a crime out there in Florida. I can tell you that much. I have to go to Mom's and bring her some food, but I'll be back. I'll be back. Wonderful. Okay, you know my community wall? I'm going to go live later to cover whatever case you guys want. I got court documents for. and my preview of my Sunday guest. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Such a fascinating case. I seen that. I seen that. Yes, I did. I think I was in the car when I seen it, waiting for my dad. My dad can't drive. I do all the driving. Yep. See you soon. Mom's just up. Okay. Thank you, Grandma. Have a good day. Tell your mom I said hi. The Delphi. Yeah, it's getting interesting. Corruption. Can we say corruption? Hashtag that. Corruption. All right. See you later. Anna, are you still here? Anna. You're pretty quiet there, Anna. Yeah. Let me look for something here. What does anybody feel about that shooter, Robert Card? Well, I guess Richard Allen's got a new attorney, but there's more that's coming. Oh, you guys, JLR, he's in Maine. Yes, he is. I told you guys he'd be there. See what kind of trouble he's going to get into. All right, I'm going to be right back. Hold on.
Everyone may be seated. Where are they ready back there?
He said he did the notes for 9 years.
Okay, just, okay.
No. I understand. That's clear.
Mr. Rashbaum would like to inquire of the witness about the notes. We figured we'll do that now since he's here.
Without the jury or with?
With
Okay.
It'll be quick, Your Honor, I promise.
One question that becomes 9?
I didn't say that. Louder, please. Just keep it as we're closing.
These questions pretty soon.
I'm saying it's really good.
All rise, jury are in courtroom.
Everyone may be seated. Members of the jury, the defense is going to have a very brief recross of Mr. Lacoste.
Mr. Lacoste, those notes, pages and pages of notes, did you provide them to the prosecutors?
No, they were destroyed. I used them to guide my interviews with investigators, and then I destroyed them.
You destroyed them.
Yes.
Why'd you destroy them?
I don't know they wouldn't have been of any use to anyone else. They were just little talking points for me. We went through every single thing on my notes. It was on videotape, and then I got rid of the notes.
So when you're on the videotape, you were reading your notes?
Well, I was using them as prompts to remember to talk about each thing. The investigator guided the interviews, so sometimes we didn't stick straight to them, but I made sure everything on the note got discussed with investigators.
But we wouldn't know that because we can't see him today, right?
No, but you can watch the videotape of my interview with Craig Isom and see what's on the notes.
Oh, I can see the writing on that videotape?
I guess not, but that's the material that was covered.
Sir, truth is, you destroyed those notes. And we can't review them, right?
Yes.
No further questions.
Redirect this guy.
Was there any law or instruction from a law enforcement officer requiring you to do something with your personal notes?
No, I don't think I even needed to create notes. I chose to organize my thoughts to talk to Investigator Isom, but it was to help me make sure I covered what I wanted to cover. And of course, he ended up asking most of the questions anyway. That's how it works.
And everything in the notes is included in the interview.
Yes.
It was provided to us.
Yeah.
Okay, nothing further. Thank you.
Yes, that's right. So please call your next witness.
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Mr. Patrick, please approach the witness stand. Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? Yes, sir. You may take your seat.
Sir, please say your name and spell your name.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, RyanFitzpatrick.
Where do you live, sir?
Lantana, Florida.
And what line of work are you in?
I'm in roofing now.
Okay. Do you or did you at some time have a relationship with Charlie Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you guys friends?
Yes, ma'am.
How close were you?
Very close.
What time frame were you close friends with Charlie Adelson?
From about the time that I moved to South Florida and around about 2012. And then as years passed, we grew a lot closer
Until when?
till about 2018, 19-ish.
All right. Did you spend a lot of time together?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you talk to him daily?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know his family?
Yes, ma'am.
Meet his girlfriends?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, do you see him here in the courtroom today?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Would you point him out and describe what he's wearing?
Blue suit, light blue tie, white shirt.
Let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
The record will reflect.
Was the defendant, Mr. Adelson, very close to his sister Wendy?
Yes, ma'am.
If you know, how did the Adelson family feel about Dan Markel?
Not fond.
And did that include Charlie Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
I mentioned the girlfriends. Did Mr. Adelson have a lot of girlfriends?
Yes, ma'am.
Was one of them Catherine McBanoa?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever have an occasion to meet her?
I think in passing I might have met her once or twice, but I didn't have a personal relationship with her, no.
Did she stand out to you as being someone special or of more importance to him than any of the other women in his life?
Objection leading.
Sustained. Please rephrase your question.
It's a yes or no question. Did she stand out to him as being somehow special or different from the other women in his
No,
life?
ma'am.
Are you familiar with the defendant's practice of stapling his money?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know the denominations or how he would staple it?
10 100s would be 1,000. Easier to count that way.
At the time that Dan Markel was murdered, how did you learn of the murder?
I can't remember. They never spoke about it, so
And when you say they never spoke about it, who was
the
that?
family never spoke of it.
So you didn't learn about the murder from your close friend?
I do not believe so, no. Not directly.
Right after the murder, did Mr. Adelson tell you that his girlfriend, Catherine McBanoa, was extorting money out of him?
No, ma'am.
Does that seem like something he would have mentioned to you?
Yes, ma'am. Probably. I imagine so.
When law enforcement posing as a thug approached his mother in what we're referring to as the bump, did he tell you about that?
I don't recall, no, ma'am.
He didn't tell you that he thought that the person that approached his mother was either the FBI or someone posing as Rivera's brother?
I can't remember if Charlie directly said that to me or not. So I don't know. It's been so long.
Okay. Did he ever make a statement to you about murder?
Charlie, as you've heard in testimony and depots, he made a lot of tasteless jokes. And he said something along the lines of, you can get away with anything, you can get away with murder if you keep your mouth shut.
When was that statement made?
Jeez, years ago.
Before or after this murder?
It would be after.
Was his behavior after, are you familiar with the arrest that occurred in May? May of 2016, I should have clarified.
Katie's arrest?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And did his behavior change at that point?
Yes, ma'am.
And did he seem relieved and less stressed out after she got arrested?
No, ma'am, he did not.
What was his demeanor after her arrest?
Nervousness, agitation, stress.
So he seemed to get more stressed out after she was
Yes,
apprehended.
ma'am.
Was he weird like that before, like between the time of the murder and the time of Catherine Magdano's arrest?
To say he was weird.
Like that, like the
No,
behaviors you just
no,
described?
ma'am, not that weird.
All right. And are you familiar with some barbed wire that he had around his residence?
No, but I kind of like that idea.
When was the last time you were at his residence at, the name is escaping me, Whale Harbor?
It would had to have been around probably the summer of 2018.
Okay. And when you were out there, when you were at his residence in the summer of 2018, did y'all use the pool area?
Yes, ma'am.
He's got a nice grotto style pool out there.
Very nice. Yes, ma'am.
And did you observe when you were out there barbed wire around this perimeter of the pool?
No, I don't think so. No, ma'am.
All right. What about weapons? Did Charlie Adelson frequently carry or have weapons around him?
Charlie had a gun. Yes.
Where did the gun stay, if you know? On his person, in the safe, bedside table?
I mean, I didn't know what his regular practice was, but I can imagine he would put it by his bed when he slept.
All right. Was that just the one gun that you were aware of, or did he have a bunch of guns?
I believe he had more, but I can't testify to that.
Okay. So when you were in the residence, there weren't guns laid out in the residence?
Not like my house, no.
Did you have a falling out of some kind with Mr. Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
When did that occur?
I would say about the last time that I recall vaguely being at his residence, probably about the summer of 2018.
Okay. And you guys have filed lawsuits against each other or just one direction?
Charlie had filed a lawsuit against myself and others. It's since been dismissed. So.
All right. And so you don't like the guy anymore? Fair to say?
I mean, he's not a big fan. No.
Okay. And have you said some ugly things about him on social media and that sort of thing?
I've said it to him.
All right. And are you here to try to bring him down?
No, I don't want to be here at all.
Were you here pursuant to a subpoena?
Yes, ma'am.
One moment, please. I'm going to approach. When was this? Do you know? Did you give a deposition in this case previously,
In Catherine's case, yes.
back in 2021?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna approach and have you read page 46 and 47.
One moment, Mr. Roosevelt.
There's no question, so I don't know if she's refreshing.
Yeah, I'm gonna refresh your recollection with your deposition.
There's been no question to refresh.
Ms. Copeland, please ask the question.
Did you say that he told you about the bump?
If I said it there, then I said it there. I mean, it's just been years, so it's hard to recall,
I
and I'm
understand.
tired.
Would it refresh your recollection to review the deposition to see exactly what you said?
Yes, ma'am, it would.
Page 46 and 47. And you can scroll down. Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes, ma'am.
So did Mr. Adelson tell you about the extortion attempt on his mother in 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
But definitely never told you about Catherine McBanawa extorting him in 2014
No, ma'am.
or 2015?
No, ma'am.
No further questions.
Cross examine.
Thank you. You met Katie once or twice, right? Magbanua?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
You didn't know her personally?
No, sir, I did not.
But Charlie mentioned to you that the father of Katie's kids tried to run him off the road,
Yes, sir.
tried to kill him,
Yes, sir.
and that was in 2014?
Vaguely, yes, sir. If that's what I testified to, then yes.
Charlie talks a lot, right?
Indeed, he does.
Repeats himself a ton, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, I think Ms. Kappelman just refreshed your memory that you were aware of the bump, that Charlie told you about the bump.
Yes, sir.
By the way, did you communicate with Charlie on WhatsApp?
Yes, sir.
You ever talk about murder on WhatsApp with him?
No, sir.
Ms. Kappelman asked you about whether Charlie started to act nervous at the time of around Katie's arrest. Do you recall those questions?
Yes, sir.
Are you aware that shortly before her arrest, law enforcement released an affidavit calling for Charlie's arrest, which the state attorney refused?
What? I don't understand your question.
Are you aware that there was an affidavit that was released by law enforcement calling for Charlie's arrest?
I believe there was like a probable cause or, excuse me, or something like that. Yes, sir.
And that was broadcast to the entire world, right?
It was broadcast. Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was back in 2014, correct?
I believe so. Yes, sir. If that's when it
I'm
happened.
sorry, that was back in 2016, correct?
Yes, sir.
At the time that he started to act kind of weird.
Yes, sir.
Also around that time, there were 60 Minutes, 2020, and Dateline specials, right?
Yes, sir.
And there was also this bump, right?
Yes, sir.
And after Katie's arrest, there was even more suggestion that Charlie somehow had some role in this, right?
Yes, sir.
By the way, you continued to be friends with him after that, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, isn't it true that you stole from Charlie?
No, not at all.
It's not true that you took checks that were supposed to be made out to the business and took them for yourself?
That's alleged in a lawsuit that's been dismissed, so.
Was that lawsuit dismissed because Charlie Adelson got arrested in this
I don't know why I
case?
never hired an attorney because I wasn't worried about it.
When was it dismissed? After his arrest in this case or before?
I found out last week, so I don't know. I don't
Do you
care.
think it was do you think it was dismissed after he was arrested in this case?
That's speculation on your part. I have no idea. I didn't think about it. Didn't lose any sleep over it.
Was a lawsuit for hundreds of thousands of dollars?
About $2 million. But I don't have that anyway, so I didn't worry about it.
Before he filed that lawsuit, he demanded that you repay him, right?
I guess if that's what he says.
Well, did he text you and demand repayment?
Yeah,
He said he was going to start taking what you owed him out of your paychecks. Do you recall that?
yeah.
And you didn't like that.
No.
So you threatened if he tried to recover any of the stolen money for you, you would go to law enforcement and tell them that that he was involved in Professor Markel's murder.
I don't know if that's what I said verbatim at all.
Well, let's see if I can refresh your memory. What exhibit are we up to? Do you recall saying to Charlie Adelson, I don't owe you shit. I'll be on the phone with the FBI today. Get your affairs in order before prison, punk. You're going to rot in jail, you mom, fag. Do you recall saying that?
I mean, if you're reading it, then I did.
You open your mouth and I will open mine. Watch, motherfucker. You're a miserable Jew and you're going to get what you deserve. Do you recall saying that?
If you're reading it, then I said it.
I dare you to threaten me again. I'll be on the phone with the FBI before you blink, you murderer. Do you remember saying that?
Yep.
Get fucked. I'm going to get you in jail. Do you remember saying that?
I guess if it's in there.
You ever heard of a website on Facebook called True Crimes Blog, True Crimes Case, the Dan Markel case? Let's discuss. You ever heard of that?
Yes.
You're just posting pictures of Charlie on that website this week, right?
I don't know.
You want me to show you them?
What difference does it make? What does that have to do with anything?
May I approach, Your Honor? Does this refresh your recollection of a picture you posted of Charlie on that website just days ago?
Yeah, it's a good picture.
You say you have nothing to gain from this case and you don't really care and you don't want to be here, right?
Right.
Just on Tuesday, do you recall writing to someone, I want to propose a wager. Let's see who gets involved. The over and under on Life Plus, laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. You posted on there that you were going to help get this man a life imprisonment, right?
I don't know that it suggested that I was helping him do anything. I was just speaking my opinion, which that's free speech, and that's what all the other idiots on that thing do as well. So
I want to propose a wager. Over under on Life Plus. That's what you said.
yeah.
No further questions.
Move to strike Mr. Rashbaum's commentary to the extent it's on the record.
To stay, members of the jury, you are to disregard the last statement concerning from Mr. Rauschbaum as to the post on the social media site.
No question, Your Honor.
You may step down.
Thank you.
Please call your next witness.
Should we approach on that one, Your Honor?
You may.
Well, that was certainly interesting. Social media gets you every time. Watch what you put online. Be mindful, people. See, I told you that attorney was entertaining. The witness was for the state, I guess. I don't know. This is day 2 of the trial. Yes, that's Charlie, the brother-in-law who arranged the hit. Allegedly, everything's alleged out of my mouth. Okay. You know what, guys? It's going to start snowing here soon. I'm not excited.
Sort you out briefly, and then we'll continue with the testimony.
Here we go. Oh, I'll mute. I'm loud.
Jury is exiting. Please rise.
Why would they ever call that witness?
Everyone can be seated. How long will it take to get them in place? We'll go back on in 10 minutes, and then the defense can take its proffer as to the issue that's already been addressed at the sidebar. We'll bring the jurors back in. Looks like time-wise, Mr. Rauschbaum, I know I didn't want to cut off your access of getting started on any cross-examinations, but do you wish to start your cross today or move into next week?
I think, I mean, I don't know when they're going to be, but probably next week.
Very well.
But if they're quick, then maybe I would start it. Can we just go sidebar after? And
That's fine.
Okay.
All right. We'll resume in 10 minutes at 4:23.
All right. But the man arrested for murder said that Garcia did it all alone. Yeah, but this guy here, right here, he allegedly set up the hitman. Just saying. Murder for hire. How you been, Maisie? How is everybody on this fine day? I was super sick this morning, guys. Oh my God, it was awful. I think I already told you guys that. Good, I'm glad you're doing good. What time is it in your land? Because you're what, in Australia or the UK? Did you like that, Grandma? Yeah. That's that phone call she had with Chad before Chad got arrested. Oops. I had so many. Lori Vallow and Betty parodies I've done. However, some of them got deleted out of my phone. I was so upset. So much material. Oh, 2116. 2116. Is it Friday or Saturday there? A Chinese jet came 10 feet of the US B-12 bomb. What? Jeez. Gotta have an MRI on Sunday. So, oh. MRI for what? Yep. Well, the results, Ken. The results. Oh, you got neck problems. I feel for you. Why are they on another break? That's what I want to know. We have to go to the neurologist on the 2nd to discuss Grandpa's MRI. Oh, that's sad. Yeah. So, anyways, this guy that's on the stand, not on the stand, the guy that's the defendant, somebody did a secret recording of him. Admissions of guilt. Okay? I got it too. That's good. No, he's my ex. What? Okay, don't confuse me. Your grandpa is your ex? What? Girl. Come on now. Oh my God, that's funny. No. You know I'm kidding, right? I'm kidding. He and I are grandma and grandpa to our grandkids. Oh my God. Oh shit. Not your grandma. Well, okay, G-Ma. Goober. Uber Eats. Why are they on break? Why? I don't get it. Enough of this shit. Carry on. Come on. I mean, they took over an hour and a half break for lunch. What's going on there in Florida? I will say defense's attorney, though, is entertaining. I like that. Okay. I think it's 4:20 and you need no. Ha ha ha. I'm taking advantage of the time that I'm feeling good. So I thought I'd come live and, you know, put on a chord here. All right. Maybe talk to the people if they'll talk. If not, that's okay. It is what it is, people. What's your opinion about Robert Card? Riddle me that. And guess who's out there, Grandma? Guess who's out there? In Maine. One guess. That's all you're getting. In Maisie. One guess. That's all I'm going to allow. Yep. Nope. I agree. I think he's already gone. He's gone. I think I'm hungry, you guys. What do you think about that? I'm going to make pork chops tonight. Grandma made chili last night, and it was amazing. Amazingly good. It was nice to cook a meal. I didn't know I had pork chops hidden in my freezer. I could have ate those last night. Oh well, it's all good. Everything's alleged. Yep, I do too. That sucks. No, I haven't, and I really should because this is something off the chart I've never had before in my life. I don't get sick. Last time I was sick, I was probably in my 20s. I'm not kidding. I can't explain the intensity in these headaches. It's crazy. Because I was thinking it was from my neck. Because my neck, my fusion didn't do a damn thing. And so next month, okay, I don't know if I'm going to do it, you guys. I'm really scared. They want to put a bone stimulator in my spinal cord, okay? So I had to do this psych eval and all this other crap to get approved for it, whatever. However, we can do a trial run for a week. So, yeah. I just don't want to be opened back up. Because you know what? They're going to have to open me back up to put those leads in my back. Ew. Yeah, that's different though. Come on. In your spinal cord, that's kind of scary. They got to quit messing with my body. We don't get older, cigarette kicks up. I know. Listen to me, Wayne. I know, girl. I am saying it is, okay? Because I am dramatic. I'm being very dramatic right now. Very dramatic. And she is old and she was, well, good. That's wonderful. I'm glad. Of course, you know I do my research. I am dramatic right now, today. Today I am. Now, here I go. Dear kid, I pray you feel better soon. Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. I tell people I don't like to complain, but it's been rough. It has. And when I feel good, I come on here to laugh and make fun of people like grandma. That's right. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, people might hate me, and I'm going to say it because you know what? It's my channel. I can say whatever I want. I have a problem with the government. Want to know why? Here you got this man that was in the military 20 years. Okay? I'm getting somewhere with this. I don't condone anything he did. However, there's a problem because when these guys get out of the military, they're forgotten about. Okay? See, you know what I do? I write, what is that thing called I've done? Where I send them letters and send off whatever they need, supplies, whatever. I've done that. Okay? But people forget about our military people. Okay? He was messed up in August. He said he was going to shoot the base up. Why didn't they go take his guns? Okay? That's another problem. This is my problem. This is what I'm getting at. Okay, I'm going to say it. We need to take care of our people. Okay? You got people coming over from the border. When we got homeless people on the street, us homeless people, us in America, and
Everyone can be
our
seated.
military has horrible, horrible help. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Close that
You
damn
may be
border
seated.
up.
Mr. Rauschbaum, you can go ahead with the proffer
I said
of the
it.
witness. Mr. Rivera, let me swear you in at this point. Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? You may take your seat.
Mr. Rivera, how are you?
All right.
In 2014, 2015, you were a member of the Latin Kings, is that right?
Yes.
And that's a violent gang?
No, we're a family.
But it's a gang, right?
Yeah, it's a gang. It's a family, though.
In fact, you were head of the North Miami branch of Latin Kings, right?
Yes, sir.
That's the questions I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Kappelman, do you have anything to raise concerning this in light of what has been proffered as the theory of defense?
No, Your Honor, I'm still objecting to relevance.
As this specifically goes to the defendant's theory of defense, I will permit the line of questioning that has been raised. However, Mr. Rauschbaum, you are being cautioned as to going into any matters that are collateral to your theory itself. Do you understand what the line is?
Understand, Your Honor.
Let's bring in the jurors.
Ooh, this will be interesting. This is who was convicted. Yes, I remember this. Yeah. Look at him, look. He's like, oh, I got you. I got you. I ain't going nowhere. You're coming with me.
Entering the courtroom.
Okay, I'll shut up.
Everyone except for Mr. Rivera may be seated. Mr. Rivera, I'm going to swear you now in front of the jury. Please raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
I swear.
You may take your seat. You may examine when ready.
What is your name, sir?
Luis Rivera.
Mr. Rivera, where are you from?
Miami. I'm Puerto Rican, but raised in Miami.
Right. And I see you're wearing a jail uniform. Have you been convicted of a felony?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
I don't remember.
5
Once.
sound right?
45, yeah.
All right. And are you currently incarcerated?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you serving a sentence for both this case that we're here about and also a federal case?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's start with the federal case. What is the nature of that charge?
Conspiracy RICO with the Latin Kings.
Conspiracy, RICO, like a racketeering,
Yes, ma'am.
and that's related to your involvement with the Latin Kings?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that a gang?
Gang, family.
Okay. And that was a group that you were affiliated with when you lived in Miami?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we've heard that when some incidents occurred during this case, you were incarcerated in Broward County. Were you incarcerated in Broward County back in 2016?
No.
You were never in Broward?
2016?
Yeah.
No, I was in the feds.
Okay. So you were incarcerated, but not in Broward. That was part of the ruse that you were.
Yeah, I
in
was
Broward.
in Broward, but I was 2016. I was in the feds. I was in Coleman.
All right. So at the time of the what we're calling the bump, you were actually in federal custody.
Yes, ma'am.
And is that on the racketeering case?
Yes, ma'am.
You're still serving a sentence on that case?
Absolutely.
Okay. And is that case in any way related to the murder that we're here about today?
No, ma'am.
All right. So when law enforcement came to talk to you and identified you as a suspect in the murder case, you were already serving this sentence unrelated. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you been promised anything in reference to that federal case
No,
for your
ma'am.
testimony here today?
Nope.
All right. Have you ever gotten any help on the federal case for your cooperation in this case?
No, ma'am.
All right. What did you get for your cooperation in this case?
This case, the murder case, I'm 19 years.
All right. And was the 19 years to be served concurrently or at the same time with the federal sentence you're already serving?
Concurrent with the same time as the feds.
And what is your release date once you conclude both sentences?
Both sentences, probably 2032, 33.
32 or 33? 2032 or 2033?
Yeah.
Okay. And what is it that you have to do in exchange for this 19-year sentence on the murder case?
How to testify.
All right. And what do you have to testify to?
The murder.
All right. And has anyone told you to say anything other than the truth in the case?
No, ma'am.
Have I or anyone promised you anything other than what we've already discussed, the sentence you got?
No, ma'am.
Anybody ever told you that you had to testify about a specific person in order to get a deal?
No, ma'am.
All right, I want to talk about how you came to be a participant in the murder of Dan Markel. Did you participate in his murder?
Yes, ma'am.
How is it that you came to be a part of that?
From a friend,
And who's your friend?
Garcia.
Who's Garcia? Is that Sigfredo Garcia?
Sigfredo Garcia, yes.
How did you know him?
Childhood.
And had you described him as a brother previously?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that because he was in the gang or
No,
just
he's not in no gang.
he was not in a gang,
Oh.
but he was a good enough friend that you referred to him as a
Yes,
brother?
ma'am.
And back around the time that this crime occurred in 2014, were you and Mr. Garcia together all the time?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Garcia, is he the one that came to you with the information about this job that needed to be done?
Absolutely.
And I say job, is that what this murder was to you?
Yes, ma'am.
So your motive for coming to Tallahassee and participating in this murder was money?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Did you know Dan Markel?
Nope.
Did you know anything about him?
Nope.
All right. So do you know why Garcia or how Garcia came to know about this murder or this job?
His girl,
Who's that?
Katie.
All right, so am I correct that Katie hired Garcia and Garcia hired you?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was to actually come to Tallahassee to do the murder?
It was me and him.
You and Garcia,
Yes, ma'am.
but not Katie?
No.
So she stayed in Miami.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and who was to get the money once the job was done?
Katie.
All right, and did she get the money?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know where she got the money from?
Mm.
Do you know
My-
where she got the money from?
Yeah, the people. She got
Who are the people?
the dentist. I called him the dentist at that time.
The dentist?
Like Wendy and her brother.
Okay, and
No.
do you know which one of them actually handed Katie the money?
No, absolutely not.
And you weren't there for that?
No, ma'am.
So Katie went to get the money from the people, which includes both of them,
Yes, ma'am.
and then brought it back to you.
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Did you originally describe the purpose behind this murder as helping a lady in Tallahassee get her kids?
What you mean?
Did you describe I know your purpose was money,
Yeah.
but whoever did the hiring had a different purpose, right?
Yes.
And what was your understanding of that purpose?
For the kids.
To get these kids?
Get the kids back.
Okay. And do you know any more about that? Which family member did what and whose kids they were or anything like that?
No, the only thing I knew the kids was Wendy. That's her name.
Wendy, they're Wendy's kids?
Yeah, that's the only thing I know.
Okay, and it had something to do with getting Wendy's kids.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know the dentist?
No.
Have you ever met the dentist
No.
before? What did the dentist have to do with the lady in Tallahassee that had the kids?
That's her brother.
And what was his connection to you or to Garcia?
To me, nothing. His connection was that was Katie's boyfriend.
All right, so Katie was Garcia's child's mother
Yes, ma'am.
and also was dating Charlie Adelson.
Absolutely.
Did you know before the murder was committed, did you know how much you were going to be paid?
No.
When did you find out how much you were going to be paid?
When we was driving up.
Okay, so that was before the murder was committed.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right, and so when you were driving up, you found out the job was going to pay how much for you?
Well, they only gave me 37.
$37,000?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much was the total bill for the job?
It was $100,000.
And that was split between who?
3 ways.
You and who else?
Me, Garcia, and Katie.
Was this job in any way related to your gang affiliation?
No, absolutely not.
To show you State's Exhibit. Shouldn't have photos as well. Oh. I'll show you 37 and 38. You recognize these photos?
Yep.
Are those photos of the folks that were involved in this homicide?
Yep.
Plus another young lady, who's that?
That's my baby mama. She's not involved.
Okay, and what's her name?
Jessica Rodriguez.
All right, Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move into evidence 37 and 38.
Any objection?
No objection.
States 37 and 38 are admitted.
Publish 37 at this time, please.
You may.
Thank you. Who's that on the far left in the green shirt?
Garcia.
Okay, and next to him,
Katie.
and next to her,
Jessica.
and then that's you on the right.
Yes, ma'am.
When was this photo taken? Let me ask you this, was it before or after the homicide? If you know.
I can't remember.
Did you previously say it was taken sometime after the homicide? You can't remember.
I can't remember.
Okay. States 38. Who are these folks?
That's me and Garcia.
Did Mr. Garcia go by any nicknames?
Toto.
And what about you? Did you have a nickname?
Tato.
Had you ever been to Tallahassee before you came for this murder?
No, ma'am.
Did you come to Tallahassee one time or more than one time?
Twice.
And both times, was that with just you and Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
Both times, did you come in a rental car?
Yes, ma'am.
How long can we go back to, never mind, just, if you'll- Oh, how long had Catherine Magbanua and Sigfredo Garcia been, I guess, on again, off again?
Probably 10 years.
So at the time of this homicide, they'd been on and off for about 10 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you knew her pretty well as far as through Garcia, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she go by Katie sometimes?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, may I publish States 59 at this time?
He would stare at you dead in the face with his eyes.
Can I turn the thing off?
His eyes are dead. Look at him. Are you bored? Do you think he's really gonna snitch?
Mr. Rivera, have you seen this exhibit before?
Yes, ma'am.
And have you had an opportunity to take a look at the phone numbers associated with the people on this chart that you know?
I've seen them, but I don't remember none of them.
Don't remember those numbers? Have you previously testified about the numbers?
No, maybe one of them. I think it's probably mine.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to look at the rental contract that you filled out for the rental car that was used in this homicide, the Prius? All right. And that contract has your phone number on it, correct?
Yes.
And if that phone number matches the one up there, would that be the correct number for you at that time? Or at least one of them?
Probably one of them. I have multiple phones, though.
Yeah, you had a couple phones, right? The address that was on the rental contract. Can I see the rental contract, please? Oh, it is. One moment, I'm gonna show it to you. It's Normandy, something Normandy. Is that where you were living at the time of the murder?
No. I was just on my license.
So you provided your driver's license to rent the car,
Yes, ma'am.
and you know what number the rental contract is? Never mind, I just found it. Okay, and at the time on your license, I'm approaching with States 58. It had this 1805 Normandy Drive on your license.
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you actually living at that time?
I was living with Jessica.
Okay, and was Jessica's address at 1515 Northeast 135th,
Street. Yeah.
number 14?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I want to talk about the first trip. Do you know the date that you left to come here for the first trip?
No, ma'am.
Does June 4th of 2014 sound correct?
Probably.
All right, how did you get here? Who drove?
I drove. He drove half, and I drove the other half.
All
The
right,
first
so
time.
you both did some of the driving.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and How did you know where you were going?
Oh, he knew his way.
Who did?
Garcia.
How did he know his way?
He had a piece of paper with an address in the picture.
What can you describe what the piece of paper
It's a
looked
regular
like?
piece of paper.
Like a regular piece of paper like this size?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it white?
Yes.
Was it like this kind of paper that goes in a printer?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was printed on it?
It was the dude's address.
Okay. Was the address printed or handwritten, if you know?
Man, I can't remember.
Okay. Did it have a photograph on it?
Yeah.
All right. So it had a photograph and an address. Anything else written on there
That's it.
or typed?
Not that I remember.
Okay. So that's how you knew who you were supposed to kill and where that person lived?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't get the address from the prof's blog?
No.
You don't read the prof's blog?
No. Well, you know that.
Are you on the prof's blog server list?
No.
Can you just come sidebar for 1 moment?
I would. Okay.
He knows he's screwed, huh? He don't look happy. Look at him, just stare at him. Wow. I know you guys, I got a big mouth. Look at that. He doesn't even blink. Is it frozen? Or is he mean mugging him? I can't tell. Oh my God. He blinked.
In your presence, did Mr. Garcia get any information about Mr. Markel from a blog?
No.
Did either of you, to your knowledge, go on the computer and look on his Facebook
No, ma'am.
or search him in any kind of way?
Not at all.
All right. So everything you did from this piece of paper.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to the address on the paper on the first trip?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to see Professor Markel that trip?
No.
What did y'all do that trip?
We tried to follow him, but we lost him, but
All right. So you saw his vehicle
yes, ma'am.
and tried to follow it.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember where you followed it that trip?
Not that trip. I don't think I remember.
Okay. Did you watch his home, sit and watch his home during
Yes,
that
ma'am.
first trip? Did anybody get out of the car and look around or poke around his property?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did that?
Garcia.
Why didn't the murder get done on this trip?
Man, I can't remember.
Did you have a weapon with you?
I think we had, I don't remember.
Did you previously say that you each had a firearm on both trips?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember which weapon was the murder weapon?
Yeah, I remember the weapon.
Where did the murder weapon come from?
I got it
Where did you get it from?
on the streets,
All right. And was that in Miami or up here?
Miami.
Okay, so you went and got a weapon. Was that specifically for the purpose of
Yes,
committing
ma'am.
this murder?
Yes, ma'am.
And did that weapon come up here on the first trip with you?
I think so.
All right, and was there another firearm in the car as well?
We had two.
Okay, whose gun was the other one?
Garcia.
And the murder weapon, what type of weapon was that?
38.
Is that a revolver?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Was there a particular plan as far as who was going to actually do the murder?
I was supposed to do it.
Okay, and was it always going to be a shooting?
It's going to be a shooting.
What was the plan? Were you always going to do it in his car, or what? Was there any kind of plan?
No, there wasn't no plan. Really didn't plan nothing out.
So it was just going to be if an opportunity arose, you were
If
going
there was
to take
opportunity, we do what we got to do and go.
it. What if an opportunity arose when the children were present?
I was not doing that in front of the kids.
Okay.
Not me.
Did somebody instruct you on that, or that was just a given that you weren't going to do it?
I was not going to do it. Period.
On that first trip, when you were discussing this murder and the payment, was there any conversation about maybe switching it to a robbery?
Yes,
All right, and who brought up the possibility of switching it from a murder to a robbery?
me.
And what was your suggestion?
My suggestion was to go back and rob the lady,
And who's the lady?
Wendy.
Okay, because did you believe at that time that Wendy was the one that had this money to pay for the murder?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so your thought was, hey, let's just take the money.
Just take the money.
Don't even have to do a murder, right?
We have to do none of that.
And why didn't that happen instead of the murder?
He told me he can't. He just had to do his job. I'm like, I just went with it because I was my friend. So I just went with
Garcia told you that you had to get this job done.
yes, ma'am.
And the job had to be done for Katie, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so let's talk about the second trip. Is that when the murder happened, July 16th through the 18th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And that's the rental car agreement that I already showed you. That was the Prius you traveled up here in.
Absolutely, yes.
And we talked about your phone number, but there's another phone number on that rental agreement that says brother. Is that Garcia's phone number?
I don't remember.
Okay. Who would be the brother that you would put on the rental contract as going with you?
Garcia.
Did you take phones with you when you came to Tallahassee? Cell phones?
Yeah.
And did you have the phones on or off for the actual homicide?
It was off at that moment.
And did you take the same guns with you that second trip?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you stay while you were here?
In the hotel.
Was there an incident while you were here for that trip prior to the actual murder where one of the guns was discharged in the Prius?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you tell us what happened?
Well, the gun went off. Well, Garcia was playing with the gun. I was driving, and he put a hole right through the floor in the passenger side.
Were you actually out on the roads
Yes,
when this
ma'am.
happened?
I was driving.
And did it have an impact on your ability to drive the car?
Yeah, I hit the gas line.
All right. So how'd you get it fixed?
He flagged somebody down there. We met the first time, some people, and they gave him a ride to the AutoZone to get a piece of hose to connect it back.
So somebody gave you a ride to the AutoZone.
Yes, ma'am. Not me,
Was
him.
Gar-
I was in the car. I never got off the car.
All right. You stayed with the disabled vehicle.
Yes, ma'am.
And did Garcia come back and do something to the car?
Yeah, he fixed it.
And it was able to be operated after that?
Yes, ma'am.
Did y'all follow Dan Markel at all during this second trip?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you follow him this time?
Follow him to the daycare and to the gym.
Was there a reason that the murder had to get done on the day it did?
It was just the right thing, the right opportunity, I guess.
Okay, did you have any information that the victim was going to be leaving town the day after the homicide occurred?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, meeting.
Is the answer struck?
The answer is not struck. You need to rephrase your question.
All right, so how did you find out that the victim was leaving town the following day?
I can't remember that good.
Was it from a blog?
Objection, Your Honor. Meeting.
It's not leading, Your Honor.
Roll.
Was it from a blog?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what blog was that?
The blonde was Wendy.
No, I was
What you
saying
mean?
from the computer. Did you
Oh,
research
no,
it on
no,
the
no,
computer?
no.
Okay, so somebody gave you the information.
Yeah, somebody
A
else.
person.
A person.
And how did you actually talk to the person?
No, ma'am.
Who talked to the person?
Tuto. Garcia.
Garcia talked to the person.
Talked to
All
Katie.
right. Okay, so Garcia got the information from Katie.
Yes, ma'am.
And do we know where Katie got it from?
I don't know.
Okay, were you present when Garcia talked to Katie and found out we
Yes,
got to
ma'am.
do it today?
Yes, ma'am. It was on the phone.
I'm sorry.
That was on the phone speaking.
He was talking to Katie on the phone.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were present for that.
I was in the car.
Who was driving the green Prius on, like, whenever you were following Mr. Markel right before the murder?
Me.
Did you go to, I think you said the daycare. Where else did you go that day?
The gym.
Have you seen the video surveillance from the gym in this case?
I have seen it now.
Yeah, where the green Prius is at the gym. Have you seen that?
I've seen it.
And is that you driving that Prius?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is Garcia in the vehicle as well?
Absolutely.
All right. Did you know whether or not the kids were in the car at the time you were at the gym?
Now he dropped them off. I seen him when he dropped them off in the daycare.
So you actually saw the kids go into the daycare?
Yes, ma'am.
So is it after the daycare that you proceed to the gym?
Yes.
And what about after that?
We followed him to his house.
All right, so did you wait in the car while the victim went into the gym and worked out?
Yes, ma'am.
And did y'all know at that time, like, we're gonna do it when he comes out of
No.
the gym, or not necessarily?
Not necessarily. Nah.
So you're just following him to see where he
To
goes.
see where he goes.
And where did he go?
To his house.
Did you see the bus video that shows the Prius shortly before and shortly after the homicide?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you driving the vehicle at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us what happened when you got to Mr. Markel's driveway.
Well, he had turned to he turned to block before. We kept going, so we went in front of his house. So when he pulled in, we pulled in right behind. I pulled in right behind him.
Is what you're describing, you entered his street from two different directions?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you did you meet at his driveway?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you pull in behind him, what happens next?
Garcia jumped out and shot him
How many times?
twice.
Where was he standing when he fired the shots?
Right in front of the driver's side, by the driver.
Did you see what the victim did during this attack?
He put his hands up.
How was it decided that Mr. Garcia would end up being the shooter instead of the original plan, which was for you to do it?
I was driving. I ain't had no time. He jumped out and did it. He had the gun the whole time.
All right, so either one of you were willing to do it when whoever wasn't driving when the opportunity arose?
Maybe, but it was really his job. So he did it.
You mean why was it his job?
He's the one that was getting paid, but he knew about the whole thing.
Well, you were getting paid too, right?
Yeah,
But he secured the job.
yes, ma'am.
The bus video that we looked at, one of them shows the passenger side, someone in a white shirt moving around a lot right after the homicide. Can you explain to the jury what was going on in the car at that time?
He was trying to hide the gun.
And that's Garcia.
Garcia
Where did he put the gun?
right on the front, in the passenger side, right under the rug.
Okay, what ultimately happened with the gun?
We threw it away
Where?
in the river.
On the way back to South Florida?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that where y'all went when you left Tallahassee?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you turn your cell phones back on?
And we turned them on right away, I think.
After leaving Tallahassee?
Yeah. If I remember, I really don't remember, but it got turned on.
Sometime after the murder, they got turned back on.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember who made the first phone call out of the two of you?
I didn't make no phone call. He did.
Who did he call?
I think he called Katie. Well, he called Katie. He
Say
called
that
Katie.
again?
He called Katie.
He called Katie. And were you able to hear the conversation with Katie?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that conversation?
He told her everything is done. She's like, I know. And you know, where the money?
Okay, let me back you up just a little bit. How did she know it was done?
I think she got a phone call right away before we did.
All right, but somehow she indicated she knew.
Yes.
All right, and you asked about the money. Did you personally ask about the money, or was that Garcia?
That's Garcia.
What did she say about the money?
You'll get it tomorrow.
Did you get it tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am.
On the way back from Tallahassee to Miami, did you stop in Pembroke Pines at an ATM machine?
The way back.
Yeah.
I know we stopped. But
I'll show you states 39 through 45. Have you seen these before?
yeah. That's it. Seen them.
And are these appear to be ATM
Yes, ma'am.
images?
Yes, ma'am.
And what's the date on the ATM images?
7/18/2024.
2024?
I mean 14. Sorry.
All right, that's the day of the murder, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, is this the green Prius that y'all came to Tallahassee in?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, are these fair and accurate photographs of you in the green Prius on the day of the homicide?
Yes, ma'am.
Permission to introduce and publish states 39 through 45.
Any objection? 39 through 45 are admitted.
Permission to publish. Sure. Here.
What do you think about this guy? I'm shocked that he used his license.
Publishing states
Rent a car.
39. 40, please. $41, please. Make that bigger, please. Who's pictured in this exhibit, Mr. Rivera?
That's me and Garcia.
Who's that in the foreground, closer to the camera?
That's me. I'm the driver.
Okay. 42, please. Who's that in the passenger seat?
Garcia.
43, please. And 44. Did you and Sigfredo Garcia go out that night when you got back to Miami?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember where you went?
We went to a bar.
Was Catherine McDaniel with you that night?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know where she went that night?
No, I don't know.
All right. The next morning, is that when you saw her again?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Tell us what happened the next morning.
The next morning I woke up, I went to the barber shop, and she went to my house and took the money.
She had the money at your house?
Yeah.
And did you go home and get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go home with some purpose?
Purpose to pick that money up.
Yeah. Why were you worried about the money?
I was worried about my baby mama taking it.
You were worried about your baby mama taking it?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that Jessica, the one we saw in the,
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
photo? So if she'd seen that money,
If she would have seen it, she would have probably took it. But she never seen it.
how much money was in there?
37. I think it was 35,
37,000?
35.
35,000. And how was it packaged?
100 staples.
All $100 bills?
Yes, ma'am.
And what do you mean by staples?
They were all staple. It was $1,000, each $1,000 staple in the top corner.
All right, so you got 35,000. I think you previously said you got 37. Where did the other two come from?
Garcia gave it to me.
Why did he do that?
She gave it to me.
So he just gave you 2 additional stacks out of his cut?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how much he got versus how much Katie got?
No,
You not remember that?
I don't remember.
Okay, but it added up to 100. Is that what you previously
Yes,
said?
ma'am.
Did you buy anything with your cut of the money?
Just a motorcycle.
Approach you with states 46 and 47. Is that a picture of the motorcycle you bought with the murder money?
That's Garcia's.
That's Garcia's. What about 47? Is that your
Yeah.
motorcycle there?
That's mine, yeah.
Okay, and this is
Garcia.
Garcia's. And then what about this Monte Carlo in the background? Did y'all buy that too?
That's Garcia's. You got it.
Did he buy that with the murder money? Or after the murder? Shortly
Yeah.
after the murder?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, are these fair and accurate photos of those vehicles?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move into evidence states 46 and 47.
Any objection? No objection. States 46 and 47 are admitted.
I publish 46, Your Honor.
You may.
And 47, please. Did you make any changes to your cell phone after the murder? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Did you meet with investigator Jason Newland with my office to look at this, what I've marked as state 63, this exhibit regarding the calls in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And do these initials next to these calls indicate that you've authenticated the voices that are highlighted?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, I'd ask to move into evidence state 63.
Any objection? No objection. State 63 is admitted.
So you were able to recognize the voices of Catherine Magbanoa and Sigfredo Garcia on those recordings?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you guys think about this guy?
Have you ever had any kind of contact with any member of the Adelson family?
No, ma'am.
During the time that Catherine Magbanoa was dating the dentist, were you around her during that time?
I mean, I've seen her a few times.
Okay, and what was the context of, like, what was the occasion that you would see her if she was with the dentist?
Not with him, but I seen her when she come looking for Garcia.
Okay, so if she was doing something related to the kids or something like that?
Yeah, that's it.
During the times that you saw her while she was dating the dentist, did she ever brag to you about the dentist at all?
No, ma'am.
Did she ever tell you the dentist has a lot of money?
No, ma'am.
The dentist has a safe full of cash in his home?
No.
So do you even know who the dentist is? I mean, do you know who he is here
Never
in the
met him.
courtroom?
Never met him in my life until today.
Okay. Well, the dentist's lawyers have indicated that you and Garcia got this idea on your own to come to Tallahassee and kill the professor. Is that true?
No. A good one.
Did you kill him and then try to get Katie to blackmail the dentist?
No.
When you suggested to Sigfredo Garcia on the way up that it would be easier to just do a robbery, would it have been easier to rob the dentist back in Miami than to come up here to do a murder?
I never said nothing about him because I don't know him, but I said, let's go rob the lady.
Right.
Just like
but
that.
if you had known that it was actually the dentist that had the money, would you have been just as happy to rob the dentist?
Absolutely.
Would that have been less trouble than coming to Tallahassee to do a murder?
Yes, ma'am.
One moment, please, Your Honor.
Take your time.
gonna get good here in a minute.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Here we go, guys. You ready?
Ralph, Baum, do you wish to begin your cross-examination this evening?
May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Take your time.
Judge, I think it makes sense to wait till Monday.
Very well. Members of the jury, we are going to recess at this point. Cross-examination of the witness will take place by the defense on Monday morning. Once again, I'm going
No!
to give you the same instruction that I've given throughout. You're not to discuss this case with each other or anyone else. Do not watch the news coverage. Do not seek out any information about this matter.
You did that on purpose.
Have a restful weekend. We will see you on Monday morning. Please report at 8:30.
That's what I was waiting for. It's over today.
Thank you.
They set that up on purpose. You know that, right? In my opinion.
Everyone else can be seated. Do the parties have anything to raise before we go into recess?
No, Your Honor.
Enjoy your weekend. Mr. Rauschbaum, the juvenile concert awaits.
Ah,
I can't wait.
bummer. Well, that's that. Okay. My good people, be on the lookout. I got a premiere that's going to happen. Okay. It's very, very exciting, guys, because I'm very, very excited for Sunday. Okay. Set your alarms for, let's see, what time will it be? 7 p.m. Central time. Okay. 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 Well, you know, I'll do a little premiere because I'm going to do some education this weekend. No, I'm not. I don't mean educate. You know what I mean? It has to do with history, I can tell you that. I just want to surprise you guys, that's all. Nothing offends me. Nothing, nada. I'll just laugh. That's all. Okay, I'm going to go for now because I just want this about this trial. I'm going to come back on later. Okay. I'm going to go to my community wall to see what how many people have voted. Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Amy. Thank you, Park. Thank you, Grandma, for always being here for me. I appreciate you.